so much for your time. Y bueno, la mayoría hablan español, so I'll be talking English and Spanish.
Sure.
Okay, do you speak Spanish?
Just not enough to
That's okay.
Yeah, not enough.
It's okay. So we're a group of organizers and community residents from Salinas, California. And basically we're here to ask you to vote for AB 1999 and to get rid of the AB 205. And we have lots of residents here to speak with you and tell your stories. So estamos aquí para hablar con el señor reporter sobre apoyar la AB 1999. Y si ustedes pueden compartir tu historia otra vez, es súper importante. Gracias. So they're going to be sharing their stories with you.
Okay, great.
¿Quién quiere empezar? No seas tímidas.
Una vez lo mismo que nos apoyen con esta propuesta.
We're asking that you support AB 1999.
Porque nosotros venimos de Salinas, California.
We come from Salinas, California.
Trabajamos en el campo.
We work in the fields.
Ganamos muy poco.
We earn very little.
Nos quieren subir los impuestos con los servicios.
They've been raising the utilities rates.
Las rentas están bien caras.
The rent is super high.
Tenemos hijos.
We have children.
No nos alcanza el dinero.
And we can't even make the rent with what we're earning.
Que nos ayuden, por favor, con esto.
So please help us by voting for AB 1999.
Mi nombre es María Caballero, vengo de Salinas.
My name is Maria Caballero, and I come from Salinas.
Queremos apoyo para un control de rentas.
We also want help for rent control, which is extra. That was just thrown in for you too.
Nuestro cheque semanal es de 600.
Our checks every week are about $600.
Las rentas son de un cuarto, 1,100. Un apartamento de una
One
recámara,
bedroom is
2,000.
$1,100. One apartment with one bedroom is $2,000.
De 2,000.
Is around $2,000.
¿Dónde quedan los servicios, la comida, la aseguranza, el carro,
With the
el gas?
services, the food, the gas, the
teléfono.
car, telephone.
Todos pagamos la renta consiguiendo aquí, consiguiendo allá. Nadie te
Everyone's
puede
trying to pay the
prestar.
rent, getting it from here and there.
Entonces estamos en una situación ya
We
desesperada
are in a desperate situation.
y ya no sabemos qué hacer porque estamos en
And we
la
don't know
casa
what to do.
desesperados, pensando,
We're
todo el tiempo
desperate
estresados.
thinking and
Los
stressed.
caseros, si te tardas con la renta te cobran $50 más, 100 más
If you
y
don't
están
make the rent,
amenazando
they can pay
con
late fees of $50 every time.
amenazándote con sacarte.
And they're always threatening to kick you out.
Bastantes que tienen sus apartamentos baratos, disque baratos,
If
corren a
there
la
are cheap
gente,
apartments,
dicen que los van a remodelar, los van a arreglar, los sacan a las
they say
personas,
they're going to remodel and they kick you out and they double the fees.
no los arreglan, terminan rentándolos a lo doble.
They don't actually fix them, they turn around and rent them for double.
Hay espacios, personas que duermen en espacio que es una cama con
People-
600 al mes de
People
renta.
rent spaces and houses where I'm going to add, me voy a agregar un poquito, ¿no? Es que where we live, people basically are paying, they're renting out every room in the house and about $600 for a bed. And so to have the utilities increase even more, is people can't make it now. How are they going to make it with anything else?
I guess like one question that I would ask
Tengo una pregunta.
is like, you all do not have solar, right?
Ustedes no tienen solar, ¿verdad?
So,
Energía solar? No.
so like right now, so right now,
Because we rent though.
Because we're
Yeah,
renters.
yeah.
Todos puro renteros.
right, right. So like right now, you are paying, you are paying for
So ahorita-
customers who do have solar.
Ustedes están pagando para la gente que
Yeah.
tiene solar.
Yeah, and so
Ningún
like
apartamento
that's
donde
part of
vivimos
the,
Eso es parte
that's part of the problem.
del problema.
That's
Del problema.
a huge part of the problem.
Eso es un
Oh, yeah.
parte
It's like-
grande del problema.
Customers that do not have solar
Los consumidores que no tienen solar
are paying for customers
Están pagando.
that do.
para la persona que tiene
Sacaron
solar.
un programa
So,
para
I'll
personas
just-
que pueden tener solar gratis.
Wait, Kaylee, did you want to
I'll
add?
just hop in on this one.
Yeah.
So the utility tax is totally separate from
Los
solar or
impuestos
not
de
solar.
los utilidades
Right?
son
Right, but that's
separados.
part of like what the utility tax is trying to do.
But what-
Or the fixed charge.
Right.
Right, and so like that's, I
Él
mean
está
like,
diciendo que es
I
parte
mean, like,
de
I
las
totally
impuestos para arreglar esa
empathize
situación.
with the problem that
Él entiende
that
el
these folks are
problema.
like trying to, talk about. But I mean, like right now,
Pero
the solar
ahorita-
subsidy
El
that
subsidio de
customers
solar
who do have solar enjoy, it's higher than the wildfire mitigation
es
cost.
súper alto.
I mean,
So we'd be happy to send a white paper on this
I would
topic.
appreciate that.
And so I'll send that to you for
Ella
sure.
está hablando de una, básicamente de un documento que está hablando de eso específicamente.
The key here, and I
Clave
think
aquí.
Josh can speak to this best, is that even if the fixed charge is on the lower end of $20 to $30 per month, it's going to raise the bills of everyone here who lives in an apartment and does not
De
have
todo
solar.
modo,
I mean,
lo que
like,
están
I mean,
diciendo
that's-
Bailey,
I
que
understand the
este va a
point that you're
subir
trying to make,
los precios de
but
lo
like
que
you're
están
bringing these folks
viviendo
here
en los
and
Texas.
supposedly
Lo que está pasando
advocating
aquí es que
on
ellos
behalf of
están
people.
discutiendo
But in the
de eso,
meantime,
porque
like
a lo
they
mejor
are all
él está
paying
tan-
exorbitant prices.
Entonces,
Because the
ahorita
cost
ellos
shift
están
is like
teniendo una conversación
higher
enfocados
for them. I mean, like, you have
porque
people
él piensa que
receiving
es bueno.
$0
Y quiere estar diciendo
utility
que ella
bills.
puede mandar
These
su
are
papel
people
que
who are
dice que está
very
equivocado.
wealthy, you know, right? Who got in on the first NEM1,
Right,
you know,
so-
right? And something like, it's,
And I think, with all due respect, we can definitely talk about that separately
So,
because
lo
they
que
are
ella
two
está
different
diciendo
things.
que
So,
ella puede hablar
utility
sobre
they're
tax.
eso
very
más
related.
sobre
Well, so I
eso.
think Josh can speak to all kinds of different ways that we can actually lower the cost of these.
So, ella está diciendo,
I'll
eso
have-
no se
Yeah, maybe we
puede
can't hit it all here. I mean,
trabajar
listen,
las
what,
cosas.
you know, the national
Hay
average, so
en
California's
lugar
not
de
unique
subir
in the
presupuesto.
wildfire. This, I mean, we've got Hawaii, and the average, you know, the average fixed, there's a fixed charge, let's be clear. The national average is $10. It ranges from $5 to $20, right?
The original utility proposals are up around $80 a month.
no, I understand that. And I don't think that an $80 fixed charge is like the answer. you know,
Yeah.
right? But like, you know, like a fixed charge that is going to cover, you know,
Yeah.
like the fixed costs that are involved.
Yeah.
And ensuring that customers right now are paying $0 for any fixed like costs
Él
that are
está
involved.
hablando de
Instead of having folks like farm workers paying the majority of the fixed costs that are out there, like it's not right.
Está
You know,
diciendo
right?
algunos de
And so
nosotros
he's like,
están
I don't even know
pagando
who you work for.
esta
But I'm telling you, like where I'm coming, I don't know who you work for either. Like where are you guys?
What? I'm with Flagstaff Research.
Oh, okay, all right, okay. So I saw your report.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, like I was like pretty dumbfounded, quite honestly, by the report. A high, you're advocating for a highly differentiated time of use, like charge. What is that going to do to these customers right here? Whenever they're working in the Central Valley, whenever it's 115 degrees outside,
Well-
whenever AC is not an option,
I'll tell you, I run the numbers. I'll show them
I
to
was
you.
dumbfounded by your report because I was like, these folks are going to pay even more.
No,
Like,
they're
what
not.
What are they going to
No,
pay?
they're
like
not.
in July, in August?
I'll show you the annual. I'll show you the
I would.
numbers.
We can meet.
We're on the Central Coast where 53%
They're in
of the
Salinas,
population
not in Bakersfield.
is rented population.
It's-
No, I understand. I understand. I am on the side of the farm workers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yep.
And you know what? You all should be paying a whole lot less. You should not be
Él está
having to
diciendo que debemos
subsidize
pagar
wealthy
menos.
solar owners. Like it just ain't right.
No,
You know,
es justo
Yesterday,
que estamos
you know,
pagando
Adam Schiff
tanto y
came
él está
and
diciendo
spoke
que parte
in
de la
Salinas, and he
trabaja.
addressed the farm workers, and we were all there with United Farm Workers, and he said, "You are the people that put food on this
Absolutely,
country's table,
absolutely.
and
We
this
owe.
is how we treat, you know, you're being
This is,
treated."
we absolutely owe a whole hell of a lot of gratitude to people who put the food on, I mean, not just
Él está
California's
diciendo,
tables,
él
but
tiene
the
mucho
rest of the country.
agradecimiento por las personas que ponen
Absolutely,
la comida en
absolutely.
nuestras mesas.
And these folks should not be paying the cost
Y que no
of
debemos
the electricity
pagar
grid for people who are wealthy
For
solar
the
owners.
phone,
No
the
debemos
farm
pagar
owners, yeah.
por
Yeah,
los que
absolutely,
están,
absolutely not.
But no, I'll send you all.
But I mean, like, I'm happy to sit
No.
down with you, sit down with you.
Yeah.
Are you
Porque
from
nosotros
Flagstaff
no
as well?
tenemos.
No, I'm with the Utility Tax Coalition.
Oh,
We're all
okay.
here together. And
Yeah.
so here's the thing,
Yeah.
like solar aside, right, just for the moment. The utility tax, the fixed charge, as it currently sits in these proposals, and remember AB 205 uncapped it, right? So all these folks are asking is to pass AB 1999 to recap it at $10 a
Look,
month.
hey, we could talk about it, but it needs to be talked about in a global sense. It needs to be talked about in a global sense. We can talk about it. Sure.
Yeah, no, so I mean, I think like,
I was looking at your report and I was like, what is this gonna do for, the person that lives, in Bakersfield? What's gonna do, I mean, like, whenever it's like 112 degrees outside, because your proposal, whenever I saw it, I was like, okay, is this assuming that everyone lives like, like in San Diego and like on the coast where it's like, because I think that there needs to be some nuance.
oh, absolutely, I totally agree with you, yeah. But the thing is, the 60, 80 bucks a month, the other way to do it, just really quick, is, okay, fine, we're gonna recover whatever the fixed charge is. Okay, if you really believe in this, don't sprinkle like fairy dust everywhere, basically. Don't increase the summer peak, take all that savings you got and put it into the winter off peak. When people, if people really do want electrification, like the state's planning, I'll just say the numbers are really simple. Electrification, 2/3 of the energy use is winter off peak, 3% is summer on peak. Like, let's be smarter in how we allocate money.
Let's here.
And
you
here,
know what?
sorry,
I've got,
just one other thing too, on the solar issue. I just want to make sure you know who I am. So
yeah.
I'm with
I mean, I know.
Yeah.
That's part of the problem.
So I'm with Solar Rights Alliance. Who reflects everything.
Okay,
And I want to be
okay.
really clear. This is way beyond solar. You got 2 million rooftop solar users and 17 million residents.
Yeah, and like these 2.7 million solar users, all their costs go on to everybody else. Like that's a huge, like we need to solve NEM 1.0, 2.0.
But we got to
Like,
stop this problem.
This
is going to raise bills for all these
this problem is created by NEM 1.0, NEM 2.0. That's what this problem, and that's what this problem, I mean, right now, the cost shift is higher than the wildfire cost. This is crazy.
Hold on, I really want to make sure this is clear. Utility tax is going to scoop up everybody with a small energy footprint, okay? So that's solar.
I mean, also, I would also want to know, I mean, like, these folks are talking about earning $600 every 2 weeks. Are they not part of the care program?
Some of them are here, but that's just a temporary decrease because the rates aren't capped, so the rates will keep rising and
So what would their cost actually be if they're, I mean, like, so let's say like they went with the PAO rate, right?
The 30 bucks,
So they'd be, but then if they're on care, where are they at? $4? $4?
5%?
But no, what would the fixed charge be? It'd be
charge,
like $4.
It's, well, I don't
If
know
they were on the care.
think about it in terms of their savings instead. Folks on care fair, right, per month, they'll save maybe $5 to $15 depending on the proposal.
So with
But when the rate goes back up, because people are so the utility tax, the fixed charge.
So whenever are you talking about whenever the fixed charge goes up?
No, I'm saying when the rates go back up.
Yeah.
Whether it's fixed or variable, right?
Fixed or
Okay.
variable, right, so when the rate itself rises.
Yeah.
Even if the utility tax stays right where it does,
Yeah.
their savings is secure the second those rates, the actual.
Well, I mean, like, hey, like, I don't know if you all are on the same page as me. Rates are going up.
They are.
They are
Exactly.
going, like,
That's the problem.
they're going to continue to go up. I mean, like,
Let's get at that.
yeah.
This.
And we can talk about, like, absolutely, we can talk, I mean, like, there was a Santiago bill last year, right? Part of the reason, I mean, there's so much built into the volumetric, like, there's social programs, fixed costs, wildfire mitigation, all that goes in. There was a Santiago bill was it last year or the year before, to take the care program, because that's in rates as well, right? And so, I mean, like, and put that in the general fund. But then the worry is, that we have a budget year like the year we're having now, and then that program's on the chopping block, and then everybody gets screwed, right? So
Two separate problems, right? But the problem with
these are all related.
No, they're all
Yeah.
of course. But remember, this thing uncaps the fixed charge, and it didn't say anything about freezing or lowering the rate. So all AB 1999.
How are you, I mean, like, if someone could tell me, like, how we're going to lower rates, I would like to see it. I would like to see
You know what,
it.
actually, if I could, I've got your card.
Yeah.
I've got two people, Josh here and another economist who are $200.
Absolutely.
Basically do that.
My week is open.
All we're asking
Yeah.
is they look into cap utility tax and minus the national hours.
I'll tell you what I tell you what my boss is in favor of. He wants to see what the CPUC is going to do, and then go from there. Right now, they're gonna come out in Q2, right? I mean, you don't need that is going to get out of the first house, right? I mean, like it's. I mean, like
nothing for granted.
Yeah. You know it's going to get out of the first house. Jim Bill is going to get out of the first house. It's going to be in the Senate side, and then the Senate will see what like they want to do with the bill. But I mean, like. As it stands right now, like there are, I mean, like the CPUC was asked the question just the other day by RVK. You know, like why are we not emphasizing more distributed energy resources in order to meet our resource adequacy goals? You know what the CPUC said? This is the single most expensive thing that we could do to reach our resource adequacy goals. Like more than like building, you know, like wind right now, more than building utility scale solar, more than, you know, like, and she went through the numbers, and that's just for the equipment to put it like on the roof itself. Now this is not what I'm saying, this is what the CPUC is saying, right? You know, and then like, and that does not even include the cost share either. But yeah,
Because I want to have this meeting because people have bus 2 hours.
yeah. I mean, like,
Last couple minutes just to see if we can work.
yeah, absolutely.
That'd be okay?
Yeah, totally, yeah.
Natalie, we have about 10 more minutes. Okay. And we just want to share a few more stories of yours. And again, just to re-clarify sort of what we're all asking here for. There are two different things, right?
Okay.
AB 1999,
AB 1999
puts a cap
pone un límite
back on the fixed charge or utility tax.
para los impuestos fijos de las utilidades
And it would be $10 a month
y
for
sería
people
$10 cada mes
not on care or fair,
para la gente que no está en care y guerra
and $5 for everyone else.
y 5 para los demás
And it will not raise bills.
y no
In that
va a aumentar las facturas.
So that is the first thing that needs to happen.
Eso es la primera cosa que tiene que pasar
So that bills don't go up for people who live in apartments.
para que las facturas no suben para los renteros.
So we are really grateful that Mr. Porter is here to listen to your story.
So, estamos agradecidos que está el señor Porter para escucharnos
About how your bills will go up if you're renters under the utility tax.
sobre cómo va a subir sus biles debajo de esa nueva impuesta
And how it's a temporary solution if you're on care or fair.
y cómo es una solución temporaria si estás en ese programa de care, porque de todos modos va a subir después de un ratito.
Back to you.
Okay, si por favor ustedes pueden compartir tu historia, so if you guys can share your stories too. Oh, good.
I'm a senior and I live in a senior complex, so our rent is subsidized, but our utilities, we have to pay utilities. And I was telling them earlier, at the end of the month, so many of us are struggling with, we're paycheck to paycheck, we're on fixed incomes, and sometimes our utilities are higher than our rent. And so at the end of the month, we're sharing food, we're sharing medication, we have to pitch in and take care of each other because we can't make it. It's crazy.
Está loco.
I mean, like, this is not the way it should be.
Eso no es la manera que cosas deben ser.
First of all, thank you for being here, for listening.
Gracias por estar aquí a escucharnos.
You referred us as these people, and I want to emphasize what type of people are here because we're all suffering. I'm a college student. We have field workers. We have elders. We have people that work in the office of the Center of Community Advocacy who advocate for these people every single day because they see it firsthand. We have renters, of course. We are all suffering. Yes, we are these people. Yes, we are here because we want to make a difference. We want you to listen. We understand there might be another solution. But at the core of it, we are the people who are suffering and we know what could happen and what needs to happen. Again, college student. A lot of my friends had to drop out in order to help their parents pay these bills. Elders suffering. After they work so hard all of their lives to still suffer because of these rents and these utility bills. We have people who are middle-aged, working hard, working 2 jobs to pay these bills. Renters thinking that they finally found a safe home for their children, and they have to pay the bills with 3 jobs. You could put one of us in a room, a 1-bedroom apartment, and it will still be hard to pay those bills. Thank you.
I'd like to say, my name is Olga. I work with Building Healthy Communities and also with United Farm Workers, and I work with the farm worker community. Right now, the farm worker community is not working the hours that they should be working, hard times, and so they're living paycheck to paycheck. And then when the next rent comes, they scringe and they try and find that extra amount of money to pay that rent, and an extra utility bill will just destroy everything they're doing, because paycheck to paycheck is not what we want. We want to be able to provide for our families and feel less stressful. The kids are suffering because we have to have more than one family living in an apartment, and then the bills have to be shared, and we have to pick if we're going to do the medications or if one of the kids gets sick. That's what we have to think about.
And the kids are working in the fields too, so if they get sick, that's less money for the family.
That's right. So that's what we are facing right now.
Yo trabajo en la lechuga.
I work in the lettuce.
Gano $15,000 a la temporada.
I make $15,000 during the season.
Mi esposa en la fresa
My wife in the strawberries,
gana $15,000.
and she earns $15,000 too.
A lo mejor ustedes no saben lo que es apagar el calentón
You guys probably don't know what it's like to turn off the heater
y tener a tus hijos con frío
and have your children be so cold
por el frío, por
For the
no
cold.
pagar PG&E.
or not be able to pay PG&E.
¿Es bueno?
Is that good? No. One more? Una más? One more? Oh, Jesse.
I have my daughter with me. She's 3 years old. We're a small family, and economically, it's the hardest I can imagine that it's ever been. And so, when there isn't a cap on these taxes, that $30, $70 a month extra puts us over the edge, and it's incredibly hard as it is with our rent and our food and our child care. On top of it, utilities, it's like we can't get a break. And so that's what I want you to know and understand.
I appreciate it, and I just want to say, like, thank you to everyone here. I mean, like, you guys are the backbone of California, and quite frankly, the rest of the nation as well. I don't think that you guys deserve to pay
Gracias
any.
por estar aquí. Ustedes son la espalda de California, a lo mejor toda la nación de Estados Unidos.
I think that
creo que
everyone should be paying a fair rate.
Todos
right?
deben estar pagando un trato justo.
And right now,
Y ahorita,
the rates are very, very high.
Los
They're too
tratos son
high.
altísimos.
And so we need to work towards, you know, what
Necesitamos
is
trabajar juntos.
economically just
Lo que es
for everyone.
económicamente justo.
So I appreciate you being here. Thank you,
Gracias por
everyone.
estar aquí otra vez.
Mr. Porter, what office do you work for?
Assemblymember Wood.
Assemblymember Wood, and what region is that?
That is the northwest corner of California. So it'd be like from the Oregon border down to Santa Rosa. So we have like Trinity County, Siskiyou County,
So,
down
es
north,
el lado oeste,
Mendocino,
como
Humboldt
Oregon
County,
desde Santa Rosa,
yeah,
donde están los árboles, las
Sonoma.
secuoyas.
Yeah.
Las secuoyas.
We're CCA and BHC. We represent Salinas. Presente. Salinas. Salinas. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
And don't forget United Farm Workers in the house.
Sí.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
right.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Pedro, tu camisa?
Yeah.
Translate.
So United Farm Workers basically from Salinas to talk about, you know, AB 1999.
And building healthy communities. I just real quickly, I know, yes, CCA, which is Center for Community Advocacy, BHC, Building Healthy Communities, and then under BHC there are different teams. Thriving Neighborhoods team from
United
Salinas.
Farm Workers.
United Farm Workers.
And
Monterey County Black Caucus.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, I'm the numbers guy. I'm a guy with Flagstaff Research who runs sort of the quants and the numbers on the utility impacts for any utility tax. And as you probably heard, like a $30 tax, it's neutral for your typical California household that consumes 6,000 kilowatt hours a year.
Right.
You know, which is like $225 a month in a utility bill. But anybody between care and that limit, you're paying more, which is typically apartment renters, anybody on a fixed income living in an adult community, things like that. So that's sort of this community here. And really to hear their voices and hear their stories. If you have any technical questions.
No, let's just talk about the impact of the bill.
Yes. So go ahead, guys. Whoever wants to start.
Hi, my name is Genesis Muica and I am with CCA. I'm also a full-time employee here, and then I also go to school full-time. So you can imagine my work-study hours and my work hours. But I also have friends that do the same thing as me to be able to provide for their families. And one of my friends actually caught up to them and they were forced to drop out of school and to help pay those bills. With me, we also have middle class. Middle class is that one class that's really suffering along with lower class, right? We have farm workers with us, but they speak Spanish, so they're with another group. We're representing farm workers, middle class, lower class. We have elderly and middle-aged people. Elderly shouldn't be working this hard to trying to scramble to get to ends meet. They've worked all their lives and they're still working. We have middle class that thought that having that master's degree and education was enough, and now they're working not only their career, but an extra job on the side to be able to pay those bills.
I'm with the United Farm Workers in Salinas, California. My name is Olga Reina. Belong to BHC and the farm workers, and it's a struggle for the farm workers right now because the rent is $2,000 and they're barely making enough right now. The hours are very, very scarce, and in order to make the hours, they have to pay utility bills. They have to pay other utilities, so they have to make a choice. Am I going to pay for babysitting? Am I going to pay for childcare, right, and medication? Or what if someone gets sick? Those are extras, and so added utility would mean they're going to have to either go homeless because they won't be able to pay for that. And then there you go. It's all of the farm worker community right now because of the rains. They're not getting the hours that they should be getting. That's fine. They shouldn't. They're not getting the hours. They're working less hours and not making enough money, but they still have to pay the rent. And when you get those utility bills, you still have to pay the utility bills, because otherwise it'll get shut down, and that's a hardship for us. Mm-hmm. The senior?
Yeah, and I'm a senior. I live in a senior complex, and a lot of us have our rents are subsidized, but our utilities sometimes are more than our rent. And at the end of the month, we struggle. You know, in my apartment building, come the end of the month, we're sharing food, we're making food for each other because we run out of food, we're sharing medications. Sometimes people get their electricity shut off because they can't pay it. And so they come, I'll have a neighbor come over and say, can I sit and just use your stove? It's crazy because we're on fixed incomes, and our rent is okay right now for us. Not, yesterday we were out collecting signatures in a largely Latino neighborhood, and I was meeting farm workers, field workers who are living in their cars with their families because they cannot afford rent plus utilities plus to put food on the table, and it's getting tough out there for all of us.
I'd like to hi, my name is Alex Lopez. I'm with CCA. I actually had to drop out of college about 10 years ago. It was my junior year, and it was probably one of the hardest times for me. I had 2 jobs. On top of that, I was trying to go full-time in college, but I just couldn't afford to live where I was, to pay my utilities or anything. I had to drop out. So piggybacking off of what my coworker said, it really is. It's happened to a lot of my other colleagues, where I wasn't kind of the only one that dropped out. I met a couple of other people, and it really did impact us hard. I mean, 10 years later, I'm still trying to go back to finish college. I'm also still working 2 jobs. Not only do I have this full-time job, but I do work on the weekends at a cafe to kind of collect extra tips to pay for my bills. And I do live with 6 different people, and even with the CARE Act already on top of our utility bill, I have 2 or 3 housemates that pay the bill and still have to scavenge for food for the next 2 weeks. So even with it, it's people are still having a hard time paying those utilities. So we're hoping that you can, for AB 1999.
I do want to emphasize that if you take each person from each class, like if I'm a college student, you take somebody with a master's degree, you take a farm worker, you take an elder, you take someone that's middle age with family, you put us all in one house, we still wouldn't be able to afford it. That gets you thinking, why haven't we passed this?
Well, so also being from the Monterey County Black Caucus, it affects so many African Americans in the Latino communities. And even on the CARE Act, I had people last month who had a credit $97, and then this month their bill is like almost $200-300. And they're not running their electricity, not running, sitting in their homes cold because they don't want that utility bill to skyrocket where they can't afford it. And so AB 1999 is important that it does get passed, because if it doesn't, it's going to affect millions and millions of people. And once it goes there, it will never ever come back down. So we have to make sure we put a cap on it.
Salinas is 53% of the population rent, and a lot of our families have children at school, and there's this one utility that we don't recognize as a utility, and that's Wi-Fi. So with with the threat of these utilities, this utility tax, it feels like a threat. There's already stress in our households. This extra burden that we're trying to prepare, we don't know how to prepare for. It's encroaching. The walls have been closing in on our families and on our communities, and we're mostly adults here. We do have some students, but that student population that's in elementary, middle, and high school, we can't really kind of understand how severe that vulnerable state of their own condition, what they need in order for them to be successful in the schools that that they all attend in Salinas. So it's I'm sure you've heard a lot of these types of similar stories, and I don't know how much more unique Salinas is, but for what you're seeing here are people speaking for a huge number of other folks that don't have the time and don't have that capacity to be able to voice this urgency.
Well, yeah, just speaking of that, just a couple of years ago, Salinas went, national news because there were children in our community that had to do their schoolwork on computers, and they didn't have internet. They were sitting outside on the ground outside of Taco Bell with their little computers all set up, doing their homework. It's ridiculous.
For just ourselves, I've been very fortunate. I've been able to keep up with the bills, but in my community, even in my neighborhood, we have kids using our Wi-Fi. We have 4-bedroom houses. Each house has a family. Each bedroom has a family.
Mm-hmm.
The living room, there's 2 families. They put a curtain up on the wall. There's 2 families, and they're still barely making it. It's hard.
It's intense.
Anyone else wanted to share?
Yeah, I can speak. I have a small family, and it seems like with daycare and groceries increasing and paying our housing, it's just the utilities, it's something that we feel we can't afford, especially right now in this climate that we're in economically. So AB 1999 we feel would help to put that limit back on the taxes that the utility companies can impose, as well as keeping that privacy to ourselves as far as how much we're making, because that shouldn't affect how much we have to pay in utilities, because I know how much I'm struggling. I don't understand why I have to share that, or what the utility company is going to say I can afford or not. I have my own expenses, and so I just wanted to speak on that as a small family, that we are having a difficult time, so we do need AB 1999 to put those limits back.
All right, well, it looks like we've come and we've said what we have to say because it's important to all of us to support AB 1999.
And we know that Senator Durazo is a champion for housing, so, I think we could really collectively, communicate that appreciation for all that she's done, and she's representing SoCal, Los Angeles, East Los Angeles, we're Salinas Valley, Salinas.
Presente.
Salinas.
Presente.
Salinas.
Presente.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Kimberly, anything else?
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate everyone coming up and advocating. Appreciate you sharing your stories. That's something that's not always comfortable to share with a stranger like myself. So we've gotten a lot of visits on this bill. She doesn't have a position, one, because we haven't seen the bill, but I will share that in terms of how she'll look at this policy, how she looks at a lot of policies, it's impacting working class families. So ultimately, the impact that it will have on these families will be where the biggest deciding factor in terms of her decision. So we definitely heard, the impact of utility affordability. That's something that she's working on a lot this year. One is on water, and two is actually on broadband. So I'm staffing two of her bills to make those utilities more livable for folks. And she certainly understands the impact to working class families, and we'll continue to champion for that, and we'll continue to fight on that front with y'all. But I appreciate you coming up and sharing your testimony with us, and keep me posted on any updates. I know it's going to be a while, I think, since we see that bill 1999, but we'll certainly keep this in mind when it's coming closer to policy.
And your name's?
Fernando. So I'm policy analyst for her on energy utilities, and this is Kimberly. Here, she's interning with our office.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you so much for meeting with us today. And your name again was?
Noah.
Noah. This is Noah, and we're here from Center for Community Advocacy, Centro de Advocacy de la Comunidad, CCA, Building Healthy Communities, BHC, and also UFW. Representing, and we're all from the Salinas Valley area. Okay, and we're here today to talk to you about supporting AB 1999 and the importance of getting rid of the new tax on the utilities that they put a limit on. And we have residents here and community organizers to tell you their stories. Okay, great. So vamos a hablar con ese Noah aquí para contar nuestras historias. Y me voy a interrumpir, so toma pausas, por favor. ¿Quién quiere empezar? No sean tímidas.
Venimos de Salinas.
We come from Salinas.
Venimos a pedirles que apoyen la AB19.
We ask that you support AB 1999.
Que no suban los impuestos de los útiles del hogar.
Don't increase the taxes for the utilities for our homes.
Que pongan un control, por favor, de las rentas.
Put a control on the utilities and also the rent, which we need, and we're just going to add that in right there. We need some of that, even though that's not technically part of this law. We do need rent control.
Porque están subiendo las rentas demasiado. No nos alcanza el dinero ya.
They're raising everything. They're raising the rents, and then this also includes the utilities.
Lo vuelvo a decir, ganamos $15,000, $18,000 a la temporada.
Every season we earn between $15,000 and $17,000.
Tenemos hijos.
We have sons, children.
Los dueños de apartamentos nos quieren sacar para rentarlo más caro.
The owners just want to kick us out in order to double the rents, and we're living with our kids, and we are not able to make enough money to pay the rents and to pay everything every month.
Y nos suben lo que quieren ellos, lo que quieren subir, suben.
They raise everything that they can raise.
Y si ahora suben los impuestos de los biles, pues va a ser peor.
So now if they're going to increase the utility tax, it will be even worse for us.
I'm here with my daughter. We're a small family in the Salinas Valley, and economically it's already challenging for us with high costs and everything, especially the utilities as is. And so we're just concerned that without the limit on the amount of tax that the utility companies can charge us, that will increase the hardship that we already feel. And then also the fact that we have to disclose how much income we make decide
that's funny.
how much they can charge us based on that. So that's at least the perspective from a single family.
Hello, my name is Olga Reina, and I work with building healthy communities in the Salinas Valley, but I also work with United Farm Workers, and we're seeing a hardship right now with the farm workers because they don't work all the hours they should, and their rent is still $2,000, $1,000 for a one-bedroom, and they have to share housing in order to make ends meet, and then with an extra utility bill, that will also add a lot more to their hardship. And we're afraid to see homelessness and evictions, and just evictions because of this hardship. So we're asking you to support AB 1999. Yes.
My name is Artis, Pastor Smith from the Monterey County Black Caucus. Monterey County, we're representing Black and Brown communities. And of many seniors are on fixed income, and so if this bill passes, it will affect many seniors, and also not seniors. And there's a student here. I'm sure she will speak to that as well. 4 or 5 students living in the same apartment, can't afford utilities and have to drop out of school, and so we hope that you will be in support of SB 1999. Thank you.
That was actually my case. About 10 years ago, I had to drop out of CSUMB in order to get a second job in order to be able to pay my utilities. As of right now, we are on the CARE Act, and I live with 6 different people. However, even with that on top of our utilities to give us that 20% discount, we are still struggling to pay our utilities. Some of my housemates are struggling just to pay that bill and then going without food for the next week or 2. So hoping that we're supporting the
I'm a senior, and I live in a senior complex, and our rents are subsidized, but sometimes our utility bill is more than our rent. And at the end of the month, all of my neighbors, we struggle. At the end of the month, we have to get together and share food, we share medications, because it's either pay the electric or buy your blood pressure meds. And we have to make those decisions. And it's tough because we're all on fixed incomes. And we really, really need you to support. We need you to support this bill. We really do.
My name is Genesis Mojica. I do work for the Center for Community Advocacy full-time, but I'm also a full-time college student. You can imagine the hours that go into both of those things. Unfortunately, I have friends that had to drop out of college to be able to help provide with their parents to pay those bills. That's one of my biggest pushes to be here today. Not only that, if you take an elder, if you take a college student, if you take a middle-aged family, making a good amount of money, you take one from each group, you put them in a house, they still wouldn't be able to afford that. How am I expected to move out from my family's house? I'm 18 right now. Where will I get those funds if there's no cap? It just keeps going and going and going. These field workers work hard every single day, and they just can't make it through. And these are the people providing for us, feeding our tables, and we're pushing them to the point where they might face homelessness.
A lot of them do face are homeless.
Mi nombre es Jesús Estrada,
My
vengo
name
de
is
Salinas.
Jesus Estrada. I come from Salinas.
Trabajo con los trabajadores del campo
I work with the people that work out in the fields.
y sí estamos preocupados que pueda aumentar las utilidades
And we are worried that the utilities are going to go up.
y no queremos pasar como de renta, porque ahorita no hay control de renta y suben la cantidad que quieran cobrar de renta.
And we don't want this to happen with the utilities just like it is with the rent, because right now with the rents, they just keep raising them up as they want to.
No queremos eso, por eso estamos aquí para pedirles que nos apoyen con la AB1999.
And that's why we are here and ask that you support us with AB 1999.
Gracias.
Thank you.
So just so like as you heard, we're all from Salinas. Most the Salinas area. Salinas is 53% of the population rents. what we know is, this challenge around the utilities. There's that one utility that a lot of the youth, a lot of the kids, a lot of the children of our families depend on Wi-Fi. So there are all these extra costs that are going around, but just so that our youngsters could succeed in school, in elementary, middle, and high schools, like that Wi-Fi, the reality, the need for that, it compounds this situation, this economic crisis that our community is doing its best to try to survive and get through. So I think that the tone is desperate, and we're seeing that this tax would really create some more uncertainty and a lot of unneeded stress.
Yeah, you can't bleed a stone, and right now the landlords are bleeding everyone to death. And what you're having the rents, and every utility is basically deaggregated from that, and they're separating them up and charging you for anything they can charge you for. And so as a consequence, the utilities are through the roof, people are being evicted by the utilities, and you're having people that, you have multiple families in a house, you still can't make it. So who's living out on the streets? It's highly vulnerable populations. We have our elderly out in the streets. We have families with kids. Right now in Salinas Valley, a third of our kids don't have homes, are food insecure. And so if you increase that bill by $30 to $70, well, there's their food or there's something else you just can't keep. And so if there's not going to be some sort of, universal basic income for everybody that's going to help them pay all these things, then there has to be stopped with taxing, and there has to be more legislation in order to protect, the actual everyday people that are keeping the state and this country running and fed, because almost all the produce comes out of California, and specifically the Salinas Valley, and then that feeds all the rest of the nation. We all know they get our lettuce, they get our artichokes, they get our Brussels sprouts, amongst all the other crops that we have, but then our farm workers are living in cars on the side of the road. And I'm sure, you care about this stuff, even if it's not something you have to deal with the day-to-day. And it's very, very important that you go back and give this message as well to the Assemblyman. So thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else?
The Salinas Valley, we are not living. We are surviving. And with this, we're drowning. We need 1999.
To give you some words from our office, just briefly. So our member is...
Algunas palabras de nuestra oficina.
So our members are doing what he can to try to help combat this. As you know, he's on the chair.
Nuestros miembros están contra de ese AB1999, están pro ese 1999. Él es la silla de ese comité.
So as
Yay!
as one of the members who's voting, we don't have a position yet.
Ahorita ellos no tienen una posición, pero es una de las personas que va a votar.
But once this comes to committee in the next couple of weeks, we will have a position for this motion.
Pero cuando ese asunto viene al comité en las próximas semanas, ellos van a tomar una posición. And we hope your position is that you vote for AB 1999.
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Una cosita más.
Si supieran aquí ustedes.
Wait. Sí, la primera palabra.
Ellos,
so if you guys are going, suppose that you guys will.
Lo que se siente, apagar el calentón.
How you guys would feel to turn off the heater.
Para que no llegue tan caro. Y mis hijos en la sala.
So that it won't get, so the bills won't be so high, but then my children don't have heat.
Yeah, sure. All right, well, thank you.
So,
thank you for seeing us.
Thank you.
Yes,
Like
thank
I said,
you.
I understand in Spanish.
Right.
Recreational conversation. I don't feel comfortable.
Oh.
Like speaking it out.
Español.
But just I thank everybody for coming.
Pero quiero agradecer a todos para venir aquí hoy.
It means a lot for us up at the council to have people come from their districts, whether it's our district or the districts, to just speak on behalf of what is important for them.
What region do you represent?
I represent the areas of Pasadena, So
Pasadena.
Pasadena, going out to the Inland Empire.
So, es súper importante que gente viene aquí a hablar con ellos, incluyendo gente de otros distritos. Otra vez, él está muy agradecido que nosotros estamos aquí para hablar con él.
We're from the Central Coast. We're Salinas.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noah. Okay.
Hey, well, I'm Josh. I'm the tour guide for today, or for this part of it.
You want to come in?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I can stand.
Yeah, further note, you're probably here for.
So I don't consent to being recorded
Okay.
or anything, so could you put that and turn that away?
Wow, you're a public servant? You get paid a
You
state?
do not, you're not allowed to videotape. I'm here to meet with you, so turn that off or the meeting is over.
Wow, dude, wow.
Esto es el señor Ducet, es el representante de Assemblista Chiavo. And do you speak Spanish? Okay, that's okay, then I'm going to misinterpret. So, we are here from the Salinas Valley, 3 groups, for the Center for Community Advocacy, Building Healthy Communities, and United Farm Workers Unions, and we're a group of residents and community organizers to ask you to please support AB 1999. And we have a lot of basically community stories to tell you, and I'll act as the interpreter for the people speaking in Spanish. Okay. Bueno, básicamente otra vez vamos a contar nuestras historias por el señor Ducet. So, no sé, ¿tiene cualquier que empezar? Y bueno, vámonos.
My name is Olga Reina. I work with the United Farm Workers, and I'm also a member of BHC, Building Healthy Communities. I'm here to talk about the farm workers' condition in Salinas, where they mainly work, and the situation out there is getting very difficult because the work is not there. They have limited hours, and the rains have affected their work. Rent is too high, $2,000, $2,500 for an apartment, $1,000 for a room, and any added expenses is something that we cannot tolerate because it's at the breaking point. What we need right now is for you to support AB 1999 because we can't afford to have more utility bills and taxes pushed on us like that. So I'm speaking for the community that I live in. Thank you.
Okay. Mi nombre es Ramón, mi esposa Trini.
My name is Ramon and my wife Trini.
Trabajamos en el campo.
We work in the fields.
Ganamos muy poco.
We earn very little.
Las rentas nos están subiendo y subiendo, no respetan los dueños.
The rent increases, the owners don't have any respect.
Y ahora que quieren subir los impuestos de los biles,
And now they want to increase the taxes on the
por
bills.
favor, apóyenos con la AB1999.
Please support us with
1999,
1999.
perdón.
Está bien, no pasa
Okay.
nada.
Es que no nos alcanza el dinero. Y están pide renta, sube y sube renta. Queremos un control de renta, por favor.
And the rents increase, and although this isn't part of 1999, we also do need rent control, rent stability.
So my name is Pastor Smith from Monterey County Black Caucus, also under the Building Healthy Communities, and I represent, primarily the Black and Brown community in Monterey County and Salinas particularly, and not support AB 1999 would cause utilities to increase substantially, and so you have seniors who would have to choose between paying their medication or food, or whether they want to keep warm for the winter. Also, it affects students as well, in our community as well, who are living, in apartments, and the high rate would actually cause them to drop out of school. And so it's really important that AB 1999 passes and favorably passes, so that that's one less thing that we would have to worry about. Thank you.
Y también hay que recordar que
We have to remember
la mayoría de los californianos, en especial los de Salinas, somos gentes trabajadoras del campo.
the majority of Californians, particularly in Salinas Valley, we work out in the agriculture fields.
y nos vemos obligados a tener que compartir hasta 3-4 familias en una sola vivienda.
And we're forced to live with 3-4 families in one single housing unit.
Somos trabajadores temporales.
We are seasonal workers.
Y nos quedamos sin dinero todos los meses que está de invierno.
We're always we're without work during the off season, during the winter or the rainy months between November through March. Our season runs March through November, and then the off is during those 5 months.
Y nos vemos obligados, tenemos que compartir, y los que sufren son nuestros hijos porque no nos alcanza el dinero.
So who suffer most are our children because we don't have enough money.
Para pagar la renta, y ahora con los biles tan caros menos nos va a alcanzar, así es que ténganos consideración y apóyenos con la SB1999.
So with the rent so high and now with the utilities increasing more and more, please support us, support our families and support AB 1999.
So, mi nombre es Nidia Soto y
My name is Nidia
vengo
Soto.
de Salinas.
I come from Salinas.
Soy una mamá de 3 hijos.
I'm a mother of 3 children.
Nuestra vivienda pagamos $4,000, poco más.
At our housing we pay a little bit more than $4,000.
Y debido a cómo está el costo de vida ahorita,
With the cost of living right
por
now,
mes tenemos que
every
hacer
month,
$8,000 al mes para costear todos los biles.
we have to raise
Entonces,
at least $800 every month to pay all the bills. 8,000. 8,000 cada mes.
Todos los biles.
En
todos los
total,
biles.
with all the bills, it's incluyendo la renta.
Y todavía,
Including the rent, it's $8,000 every month.
Y todavía con este gran impuesto que quieren implementar, pues sería un incremento más al costo de vida.
So with this new tax they're trying to implement, that would just be another cost on top of the already high cost of living.
Muchas familias, como ya lo dijeron, tienen que compartir renta con personas que no conocen.
As you heard, many families have to share the rent with families that they don't know.
Para poder costear todo el costo de vida.
But to be able to pay for everything for the cost of living.
So, hay familias que tenemos que trabajar 2-3 trabajos para poder sobrevivir.
So families have to work 2, 3, 4 jobs in order to just to make it, just to live.
Y estamos aquí para una solución a un proyecto de ley que ponga fin al gran impuesto sobre servicios públicos y proteja a los contribuyentes.
So we're here to support this lay that are going to protect the customers and put a stop to the increases.
Y por favor le pedimos que sea coautor de la ley AB1999 y apoye a la clase media trabajadora.
So we ask that you support 1999 and support the working class and the middle class.
And so as you've heard, our community, the majority of the community sustains pretty much this ag industry. It's been around. It's the oldest industry in our region, in the Salinas Valley, and a lot of the reputation that comes, the foods that come from our valley, some of the healthiest. A lot of it is actually like feeds. From what I understand, 90% of the market a lot of it comes from Salinas Valley. But the average income of of our residents is around 60,000, and so 60,000 a year, and a lot. Considering all the costs, the extreme rent increases, and then the incoming the looming taxing of these utilities. Plus other costs, and then trying to keep up with paying for the new utility that's Wi-Fi for our students. Our students are mostly, and there are studies that you'll see that about 30 to 40% of the students are unhoused or living in unhoused, like insecure unhoused conditions. What you're hearing here is like a tone of desperation. 53% of our population rents in Salinas, and it's pretty it's interesting to hear. You're actually getting to hear from we're doing our best to really speak for our community that doesn't have any time to speak, and much less even participate in any kind of discourse that's coming from the state capitol or from our county offices or even our city offices. So, we know that this is obviously doesn't end here. It didn't start here, but this is our commitment, and we're hoping that your office and the senator you work. Who is the senator you work?
Someone Berciado.
Berciado.
Or Berciado.
Berciado. What region does they represent?
So she's North LA, San Fernando Valley, and Santa Clarita.
Okay, so we're up in the Central Coast, and hopefully you can remember us the next time she goes to Whole Foods and gets that greasy lean salad for the lunch. So we'd really appreciate that. Definitely strawberries.
And it's not just, in the Salinas Valley, it's all including your guys' region that renters are suffering, and they're separating out the utilities and they're charging for every single utilities we never saw before. And it's like, what is the rent for? And we need the legislation to come in, one, and support AB 1999, and then also bring more legislation to protect the renters and control the business of landlording, which is really, basically a predatory type of business where they're constantly increasing, which is something, last year they declared housing to be a fundamental right, but what the hell does that mean if they're not doing anything to keep people in their houses? Because everyone is saying, I think all parts of California, we have more and more homeless. As Jago said, a third of our students and kids are not house stable. They're also, a third of our kids also don't have enough food. And so what's gonna happen, and I think Genesis could speak a little bit to this, is when you get that $30 to $70 increase, people are just not gonna eat.
When she was mentioning, there's psychology to this, the basic needs. Everybody knows about that, right? You have this tax slip, those basic needs are gone. I'm a college student, I'm a full-time employee at CCA. As you can know, my hours, it's a tough time. I can't imagine for those who had to drop out of college to be able to provide for their families and help for that income. It's very serious. These are real families all around us who face this. Another thing that I want to say is that if you take one person from each group here, they still wouldn't be able to afford a home, to pay these electric bills, to pay what they need to pay for, basic needs. Thank you.
I represent a senior population in Salinas, in our area, and I live in a subsidized apartment complex for seniors, and for a lot of us, sometimes our utility bills are higher than our rent. And at the end of the month, we struggle because we're all on fixed incomes, and our money runs out before the end of the month, and so we're struggling. We're sharing food with our neighbors, we're sharing medication. I've had neighbors get their electricity shut off and they had to come over until the first of the month and use my stove to cook. And most of us don't, if we have heat, we don't use it. We'll bundle up in blankets because we just can't afford it. And these are, elderly. And so I talked to them, my neighbors, and I said, we're gonna go up to Sacramento and we're gonna talk about AB 1999.
Yes.
It's something that's really needed. It's very important.
Right.
I'd like to talk. I represent the college students that had to drop out of college due to the fact that we couldn't afford to pay for our bills and utilities. I was a full-time college student, but I have to end up having to get a second job in order to be able to pay my utilities and my rent. As of right now, we qualify for the CARE Act. I live in a household full of 6 people, including myself. Due to us not making enough, we qualify for the CARE Act. Yeah, we get 20% off. However, even with that 20% off, we're still paying a little under $100 per person for this utility bill, and it's just electricity. This is just electricity and gas, so PG&E. And I've seen how my housemates can struggle as well. Specifically, we choose to pay these bills instead of choosing to save money for food. And it's really, really detrimental and taking a toll on a lot of us, not just me and my housemates, but our entire community. So AB 1999 would really, really, really help us a lot. Thank you.
Anybody else want to share? ¿Alguien más quiere compartir tu historia? Well, then, thank you for your time. Is there anything that you wanted to ask?
Oh, yeah. So I guess, let's say first, thank you for making the trip up. I know it's not easy to take that time out.
Gracias por hacer el viaje aquí. Yo sé que no es fácil tomar ese tiempo.
My boss, I know
Mi
we
jefe,
represent different locations of the state.
Representamos diferentes lugares en el estado.
But we're hearing from our constituents as well.
Pero está bien, estamos oyendo de nuestras residentes.
Very similar concerns with rates, with inability to pay and inability to balance food versus power versus
Preocupaciones igual como ellos va a pagar, como ellos va a balanzar los otros gastos con ese nuevo gasto que.
So we're getting as much information as we can from folks impacted.
So estamos colectando lo más información que podemos desde la gente que están impactados.
So when AB 1999 is up in PG&E, I'll be relaying your stories as well as the ones we hear from our district as well.
So cuando es tiempo para ellos hablar de AB1999, va a estar ahí compartiendo nuestra historia, está bien.
Gracias.
So I'm actually the policy analyst, so I don't need to speak today. If there's any data questions, or like what are the impacts on different communities, like I'm the analyst who can do that, but today I'm the tour guide. So what you got here is building healthy communities from Salinas, as well as a Center for Community Advocacy.
I'm Salinas.
Oh, okay, great.
Really? North Salinas. Oh, I'm a Viking.
Cowboys,
Presenting Salinas. So yeah, so you can follow up with me on any data policy stuff, but they're here to tell the story and how they believe that AB 205 and then AB 1999.
Right in there.
It's
the information
AB 1999.
Both of them.
And that letter right there.
Yeah.
No,
The one with all the logos.
Now let's talk about.
Well, maybe I can just give you the 3-minute primer overview, right? So you know AB 205 authorized basically a utility tax, a fixed charge, and it's uncapped. And really, you know, there is some support for Karen Farah customers in there, but the support is already, since AB 205 was released, it's already wiped away. It gave about a 10% subsidy for the Karen Farah, which PG&E actually has already wiped away. And there's concerns going forward that there's no caps on what that utility tax could be. And also, it doesn't in any way protect anyone between the Care and the Farah, which, as you know, the income levels are very low. So that lower working class between, that doesn't quite hit the Care and Farah cutoff. And so I think they're here to tell their stories of how they believe that's going to impact them and the support for AB 1999 to put a reasonable fixed charge in place and to cap it. And there's more details. You don't need to read that now, but you can just sort of go through that
All right, I'll start. My name is Olga Reina. I live in Salinas and I work with the United Farm Workers. And I also am a part of the BHC, Building Healthy Communities. And what we're finding right now with the farm workers is that work is scarce. They don't make a lot of money. Work hasn't really started, and they're having problems paying the rent. The rent right now in Salinas is $2,000 for a month, $2,500, or one room for $1,000 and going up. So people are having to live paycheck to paycheck, and then as soon as they pay the rent, they have to find the next month's rent. This is a hardship for all our people right now, and the children are having to do their homework in a very crowded spaces because you have to share rent in order to make ends meet now. So this is very hard on us, and if they put up a tax that's going to affect us like this, we are really going to have to think about what we're going to want to cut back on. So we're asking you to support SB 1999 because another added tax would really break our system. And thank you so much.
I can give my perspective really quick, just to piggyback off that, because families are being squeezed regardless of their size. And so economically it's challenging with inflation. And so just to think that there's going to be possibly an added tax that can go between, $30 to $70, just to think about that, it's very concerning from a small family trying to survive. And so, again, we just urge you to please, or the Office of Senator Ana Caballero, to please support AB 1999 so that there is a cap and that we don't have to have another crushing, expense, whether that be that utility tax.
I'm Pastor Smith from the Monterey County Black Caucus, also under Living Healthy Communities, representing primarily Black and Brown communities, specifically seniors in our area. And as you know, seniors are on fixed incomes, and so any rate increase in any of their costs, utilities specifically, they're already having to decide, whether or not they're going to turn their heater on to keep it warm in the winter, or to buy medication or food. And so we really are hoping that the senators in favor of SB 1999 to make sure that they don't have to worry about that. And also students as well. Students 3 or 4 in the apartment trying to stay in school, and because of the rate hikes, some of them really have to drop out. And so we definitely don't want that. So anything that you can do to help make sure that this bill passes would be advantageous toward our Black and Brown community.
Going off that, I'm a college student myself. I go to school full time, but I also work for the Center for Community Advocacy full time. So you can imagine my work and school load. Unfortunately, I have friends that have tried to pursue college and had to drop out to help out their family. This is an everyday thing, especially in Salinas. This is common, and it's not something that should be as common as it is. These are our future lawyers, these are our future attorneys, doctors, and unfortunately they can't reach what they want to their full potential because they are worried about bills at home. This is a basic need, and I really encourage Ana Caballero to pass AB 1999.
My name is Alex. I work for the Center for Community Advocacy, and I represent the college students who have to drop out of college or university just to be able to pay our bills. About 10 years ago, I had to drop out of CSUMB in order to be able to get a second job and be able to just pay utilities and rent. I live with 6 different other people who also dropped out of college in order to be able to work full time because we just couldn't afford going to school and paying our utilities and the increase in rent almost every other year. And we actually have a rule in our house that we can't turn on the heater because the electricity bill is going to skyrocket. Right now, due to our household, we do qualify for the CARE Act, so we do have 20% off, but even with that, each one of us are paying almost a little under $100 in just PG&E. So yeah, the 20% is great because it's helping us just that tiny bit, but even then, my housemates are still choosing to pay our electricity bill instead of food for the next week and a half or the next 2 weeks. So AB 1999 would be really, really helpful for us, especially those that are struggling.
And we feel really lucky that we get to speak to you. You're being from Salinas, Anna, being from Salinas, having been the mayor there back in the early 2000s. So all of this is not new, But I think what is new is that this effort that we're really doing our best to bring the stories of our neighbors, the neighborhoods, Salinas, they don't get a chance to participate in any of the city council meetings, any of the county supervisor meetings, much less, making the day out coming up here. Because why? We understand they're working 2-3 jobs. The average income of Salinas is like in the 60,000 range, Nowhere do our neighbors receiving enough money to pay the rents. They're extreme, they're obscene, prices and numbers that are just, everyone's really busy trying to hustle, right? And they're trying to survive. And I think we're lucky enough to be able to make this trip. and really be able to express that, you know. Even though, you know, we understand Anna's familiar, the degrees of familiarity are so deep, but it means a lot for us to just be so aware of, to be even hyper aware of any additional costs. You know, about 30 to 40% of the elementary school students are unhoused, are very insecure, right? 53% of our population are renters, you know? What is ownership? What does ownership look like for our neighbors? So hopefully, this is obviously not the beginning or the end, but you know, we got a lot of work to do. Help making sure that this is actually this information, because we know that it can just slip through and it can look one way, and we understand we're learning this culture here functions. So any time and attention that you all can put to this to pass AB 1999, what we're hearing.
Thank you so much for sharing all your experiences. I just want to say that we do review all the bills, the languages, and all the letters that we get, and the Senate reads everything too. So when it's time for me to analyze this bill and talk to the Senator, I'm going to make sure that she reads the notes that I took and I prepared for her regarding this bill. I just saw that the bill got referred to Senate Committee on Energy, but I don't know when the bill is gonna be heard. So I haven't talked to the Senator about this bill because we haven't seen the bill. Like, we don't know when the bill is gonna be heard. So I'm guessing that probably like, I don't know, 2 weeks we're gonna be notified when the bill is gonna be heard. So for me to prepare my notes and be prepared to share everything with the Senator. But you know, the Senator is a big supporter of our community, especially people in our district. So if this is something that is going to benefit our community, I'm pretty sure that she's going to be supportive of this. If there's anything that she thinks that it needs to be changed in order to help our community, she will make sure that the author of the bill knows, and they work together to make the changes. But I just want to say that Senator is supportive of everything that helps our community.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. And unfortunately, I don't have the exact information on when the bill is going to be heard for me to give you more information, or for me to give you like a stand on the bill, because the bill, I think, just got referred last week. So we need to wait at least 2 weeks to, you know, get the hearing and see when the bill is going to be heard for us to like talk to the Senator and for her to like review all the information. But you can always like reach out to me like in 2 or 3 weeks and just remind me, you know, about the bill, and see if the Senator has any questions, or if we know like how she's gonna vote on the bill.
Yes, if you have any questions, I think our information's in there.
Yes.
And happy to answer. I mean, most of the outline of it, but I think up at 50,000 feet, most of the rest of the country does have a fixed charge. The national average is $10. When AB 205 came out in the utilities, they said the CPUC took in proposals. The utility proposals were between $60 and $90, which is almost 10x the national average. And they got blown out of the building, so they came back and said, well, let's be reasonable at 30. I'm like, you're still 3 times the national average. So the Irwin, and it's uncapped, and they just say, well, we're going to start at 30 fairly where they want to get back to, because they just need more revenue, or they want more revenue. And what the Irwin bill would say, no, we're going to cap it at the national average. So if you're non-care, non-FARA, $10 a month, capped indexed to inflation. If you're care and FARA, $5 a month, capped and indexed to inflation.
Who's the author of this bill?
Irwin, I think. Jackie Irwin, I believe, is the author.
As it is in Salinas Valley, we have some of the highest rents in the entire country. And you add these high utility bills on top of that. You know,
I don't understand why Salinas has so high rent or high prices in houses. If I want to say 80% of the economy there is agriculture, is people that works in the fields, and, you know, like those like low-income families, and everything is super expensive.
I don't know if Thiago mentioned, but 53% of Salinas are renters. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
People who own the actual houses, that's what we work for. A lot. We're the center handymen, electricians, construction, and my father drives them to Carmel, will fix their nice vacation houses, and then the people who are renting these homes are suffering.
The field workers are working for the big ag companies, and they own their own houses.
They have vacation homes.
They have,
Mixer.
Well, thank you so much for your time. And if I need any more information, we'll reach out to you probably in 2 weeks, I'm guessing.
Thank you so much. Maybe just as a way of doing a quick intro and then just turning it over to the group. So we're here in support of AB 1999. Which is starting the assembly, but this is really important.
Yeah.
And there's two organizations here that you'll hear from. One is the Center for Community Advocacy, and then the other is Tenants Together. Building Healthy Communities. Sorry, 3 organizations. They will tell you all about and everything. The only thing I'll just kind of start with is the concern right now, I think as you know, is that unless the legislature passes AB 1999, it's a cap back on the utility tax, then the proposals on the table, even the smaller ones that are like $20 or $30 a month, will increase utility bills for millions of people who live in apartments and condos and small homes, or otherwise just don't use a lot of electricity.
Right.
This part of the story is not being told by the proponents. So Turn and NRDC and Public Advocate are telling you not going to be much of a bill impact, blah, 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 blah. They are not telling you about people who live in apartments and condos and small homes and everything. So with that, maybe you'd like to hear from some of the groups. Yeah. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and get started. And, Salinas Valley, Salinas, we are part of that global food chain. If you go to your local stores, especially maybe like your Whole Foods, you're gonna see in that package, Tana Marinano or Taylor Farms, our neighbors, our families. These are the folks that are making sure that food gets to those tables. And they're not just working one job; they're working 2, 3 jobs. A lot of them, a lot of times, have to find a place for their children, and will have to decide whether they're going to sleep either with them, somehow make space with them, or give them a little more space by sleeping in their car. That's just one scenario. On average, the community makes about $60,000+ a year on average, right? Our residents. 53% of the population rents is a renting population in Salinas. What we have here are folks that, we're doing our best to organize our residents, because they have no time to go to to come to the state capitol, to go to any county supervisor meetings, to go to any city council meetings. They might barely be able to go to their school meetings, right? For their parents, for the parent meetings. So, we're really appreciative of this opportunity. I just wanted to express that, and and then also express gratitude to our folks here, because we made this happen. And,
Councilor Smith, moderator of the County Black Caucus, and also building up the communities. Like Chago said, SB 1998 is close to home, especially for people of color, African Americans, and Latinos, specifically for seniors in the Salinas area. And so any increase in their utilities would just devastate their entire household. They would literally have to choose between medication, food, turning on their heaters during their cold. And so we want to make sure that our representative, this is extremely important to us. Not to mention the students, and she's going to speak a little more about that. But the students are having to decide, whether to pay for books or tuition, or even drop out of school altogether, because once again they just can't afford any pay hike in any area. And so we appreciate listening to us and taking the time and taking back our sentiments back to our leaders to make sure that they're supporting this bill does pass. In support of SB 19.
My name is Genesis Mujica. I work full-time at the Center for Community Advocacy, but I am also a full-time college student. So you can imagine my workload and my study load is pretty heavy. Unfortunately, I have classmates or even friends that have had to drop out of school to help pay those bills, and their parents are field workers. Unfortunately, the field workers, they provide the meals on our table, and yet they're struggling the most. I've said this before, but our community, the Salinas Valley, we're not living right now. We're surviving, and without this being passed, we're going to be drowning. This is something that impacts all of us, whether it's the youth, whether it's our elders, whether it's our field workers, whether it's our middle-aged families, our small families. It's impacting all of us. We're suffering out here, and I hope you hear us.
Hi. Hello. My name is Olga Reina. I come from Salinas. I work with farm worker families as United Farm Workers, and also I'm working with PHC, the organizers. And what we're finding right now is that work is scarce. The hours aren't being met. There's not a lot of work right now. The rains have damaged a lot of the crops. So rent is high, $2,000, $2,500 for an apartment, and a room is $1,000. And with people not being able to work, or having families to feed, it becomes a hardship. So what we're asking for you is to consider supporting AB 1999 so that we won't have that extra expense, because as it is, we're living paycheck to paycheck and then having to borrow or find other work to do in order to survive. So please support AB 1999.
Yeah, my fellow seniors and I, we live paycheck to paycheck. We're on fixed incomes, and sometimes utility PG&E bills can be higher than our rent, and we struggle at the end of the month. We struggle. We have to decide whether we want to. Am I gonna be able to keep the lights on this month? Am I going to be, or do I go without my blood pressure medicine? Or do I go without food? And most of us we don't run our heat. We bundle up with blankets because we turn on that heater, and it's insane. And then Chaco was talking about our field worker families. We went out in the community and we talked to people in the community about rent control. And just this week, I talked to families who are working in the fields, living in their cars because they can't afford rent, and their children, or if they are living or if they are housed, a lot of them were telling me their children have to work in the fields alongside of them. They go to school half the year, they work in the fields half the year because they need that extra income just to make rent and utilities. It's AB 1999 is really needed.
I just want to thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. My name is Alex. I work for the Center for Community Advocacy. As of right now, I live in a household full of 6 people, different college students, different age. 10 years ago, I actually had to drop out of the university because I just couldn't afford to pay rent on top of the utilities. I actually had to take a second, almost even a third job just to be able to pay all my bills. Right now, due to my household being a total of 6, we do qualify for the CARE Act. So we do get 20% off our utility bills. However, each one of us are paying about a little right under $100 each, even with the percentage of the CARE Act enacted, which is still causing my housemates, I see them struggle. Like, we choose to pay our utilities so our lights aren't cut off and we have internet, everything. However, due to that, they're choosing for us to pay our electricity rather than food for the next week or 2. So AB 1999 would really help, not just, it would help everybody out.
Hi, my name is Wendy. I formed a tenant union in our complex in Kalinga Tree Apartments. We had AB 1999 would definitely knock a lot of the tenants there out of their homes because of if they don't cap it, because it will cause a lot of people not to be able to afford their utilities or their rent. And just like some of these guys, we choose what we can pay. And right now I live in a 2-bedroom apartment with my older daughter, my adult child, and and I pay $925 a month for an 800 square foot apartment, and we're paying almost $600 in rent right now because of the tax and because of the habitual habitability of their place. And the management doesn't want to do nothing. Property managers don't want to fix anything. I've gone to twice the city council, and I got a phone call today saying that code enforcement would like to speak with me and see if they can get into inspect some of the houses. But we need AB1999 to go through. Thank you. Thank you.
Your name?
Yes, hello. I'm sorry. Never introduced myself. My name is Jessica Matlock. I'm a legislative aide for Senator Newman. I staff him on Energy, Utilities, and Communications Committee, which he sits on. So we won't see this for a little bit. You know, it's going to make its way through the process of the Assembly, but it's absolutely an issue that we are tracking, and the Senator's very aware of. It is really just kind of in the information gathering stage about what these proposals could mean. We were happy to see AB 1999. There's a lot of numbers. We were very happy to see that introduced, and that we're taking a role in it as well. With a lot of energy issues, you know, we've kind of passed the buck to the CPUC a lot. So I think there's kind of a reckoning on energy policy in general that the legislature needs to step in a little bit more. So yeah, we're definitely aware of the issue, and I really, really appreciate all of your advocacy today. It's always important to hear from, you know, folks who are really impacted by the policies that we're making, because attention can be the scarcest resource. So I really do appreciate all of your stories, and they're not falling on deaf ears. So again, we are definitely paying attention to this, and I'm doing everything I can as a staffer for the senator so that he, you know, fully understands the impact that this could have or not have, you know, on you folks and everybody else within the California community. So we hear you, and yeah, I really, really do appreciate all of your guys' advocacy today and coming out here. I know it's a lot to make it out here, and we really do appreciate it.
What region does Senator Newman represent?
Ese es el representante de senadora Newman, se llama otra vez
Jessica Matlock.
Jessica Matlock. Estoy muy agradecida a escuchar nuestras historias y está agradecida que estamos aquí hoy porque es súper importante. Ese es uno de los asuntos. Ahorita no está en su plato, pero después de la Assembly, la senadora va a mirar eso, va a ser una prioridad. Básicamente eso es lo
He represents North Orange County.
Él representa el norte del condado de Naranja.
And parts of LA and San Bernardino.
De LA y San Bernardino
counties. So yes, he again very aware of the issue, and we're watching it. And yeah, that's about all I have. Just because it's early in the process, and you know, I'm sure the bill will get amended multiple times before it gets to us, and all of your advocacy matters, as does, you know, everybody else is in the process. So we really appreciate it.
Está en el proceso, vamos a vigilar la ley, a lo mejor va a hacer un montón de cambios, como cualquier ley que pasa por ese proceso, pero de todos modos vamos a vigilar qué pasa. Y bueno, estamos en contacto, pero no es real, no creo. Okay.
Is there anybody else that would like to say anything or have any questions for me? I'm happy to take questions.
Otras preguntas, comentarios.
Has anybody from the senator's constituency, they communicated, voiced any of these concerns?
¿En tu distrito que está publicando este asunto también?
Yes, we've been talking to a lot of the, you know, the public power agencies and community college, sorry, the community choice aggregators in the district have been talking to us.
Están hablando con la gente que pues los grupos en la comunidad que están asesorando sobre ese asunto.
And we haven't heard too much from, I don't think there's been any constituent groups that have reached out to us from our area yet.
Grupos de residentes.
But I think, you know, again, it's definitely something he's tracking and is concerned in general about the policies that we're passing and their impact on ratepayers. You know, we have a lot of ambitious energy policies, but if it's straddling everybody in debt or they're not able to keep their power on, that's a problem. So
estamos vigilando toda esa ley, pero y el proceso, pero si es algo que está causando un montón de deuda para la gente, pues
Thank you for your time.
Of course, thank you all. I really appreciated hearing all from you and meeting all of you. Thanks for coming out today. Truly. Thank you.
This is the 220 organizations that are against the big utility tax.
Yep, I've seen this one. Thank you, I appreciate it.
¡Sí se puede! 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 ¡Carolina! ¡Carolina! ¡La foto con Kelly! ¡Kelly! Gracias. Agárrenos a todas, ¿eh? ¡Kelly! ¡Kelly!